We are waiting on Ben. That is our theme for the day. Let's get right to it with Ryan Vlastelica. He is our Reuters markets guru. And you're dressed for the part, aren't you?
Right. You'll notice I'm wearing a vest today. The vest is symbolic not only of my good looks, but also on how we have a vested interest in what the Fed is going to come out with.
Nice.
Okay, this is the start of a two-day meeting there at the Federal Reserve. They're going to end tomorrow. Investors are just very much on pins and needles waiting to see what he's going to come out with. A lot of people expect that he'll say new round of quantitative easing or some other kind of stimulus designed to sort of boost growth.
Or at least hoping he'll say that.
Yeah, exactly. There are a lot of hopes on it. At the same time, we don't really know what he's going to say. And since we've come off a couple of strong days, especially last week, sort of taking a little bit of a pause right now. And you're seeing the broader markets about as flat as you can get. NASDAQ down a whopping 0.03%. Other ones down a little bit more, but still very flat on the day as we look ahead to the central bank.
All right, let's look at what U.S. banks are doing today.
Right.
And again, pretty flat, right?
Right. Banks are probably going to be one of the biggest reactors to the Fed news, no matter what it is. If it's good news, they're going to rally, and if not, they're probably all going to tumble. So right now, investors are taking a wait-and-see attitude.
All right, European banks, now whether it's the Eurozone crisis or LIBOR or even Facebook,
right,
they're getting a slap down.
They're certainly not flat over there today.
Right.
A lot of different issues going on. Like
Deutsche Bank, let's talk about, for instance.
Start with Deutsche Bank. They had results out earlier today. The stock's actually up, even though they had a pretty steep decline in their profits.
Right.
Of course, like we said, issues with the whole European debt crisis, the LIBOR scandal, this and that, all these things are weighing on banks on that side of the Atlantic. But Deutsche Bank is actually up today. It's sort of a good news, bad news situation. The good news is the stock's up. The bad news is they're getting this lift because they're cutting a lot of jobs.
Right.
Sort of a cost-saving measure. So that's not good news for those employees.
Okay, how about UBS? Because UBS saying it's taking a $356 million loss on its role in the Facebook IPO, and they're not happy with NASDAQ.
No, they are not. Due to all the glitches during the IPO, they ended up getting a lot more shares than they bargained for, and of course Facebook shares have been weak lately, and that sort of contributed to their weakness in this past quarter, in addition to the macro issues that we already discussed.
All right, now speaking of Facebook, and by the way, UBS down close to 5%. Speaking of Facebook, down 4.5% today. Rumors that in about 2 weeks, a lockup ending where 127 million shares available. Up goes supply today, an intraday low of 21.86, which means we need to go where, Ryan?
To the Zuckulator.
To the Zuckulator. All right, down $8 billion. He's still under that $12 billion mark. What can we say? We ain't crying. Okay, stay put for a minute or two, and I want to remind everybody, look beneath me here for some more headlines as I now head back to Jeroen Martis.
Hello.
Back by our three monitors here. She is our Director of Consumer Research. And we're going to talk about Coach, because Coach taking a big hit, shares down 17% today.
Yes. However, sales in China were up 60%. Their brand is still a favorite in Asia. However, in the North America sector, that's where they struggled the most. Due to earlier winter, a lot of that spring-summer sales happened in the first quarter of the year. And then we saw a spike in consumer spending in the first quarter and then a decrease in the second quarter. As a result, the environment became very promotional, and that's how Coach got hit, because of the promotions at the outlet stores.
The promotions in there. Okay, and as you mentioned, consumer spending now falling 0.1% when adjusted for the rising prices. Okay, now on the flip side, if you look at Michael Kors, and I actually went to an outlet that had Michael Kors, the store was teeming with folks, long lines waiting to get in. And they've beat on fourth quarter.
That is correct. In fact, analysts are very bullish on Michael Kors. They project that Michael Kors is going to have 4 consecutive quarters of profit growth, whereas on the other hand, Coach, their profits are expected to be unchanged for the third quarter, but then pick up for the holiday season.
Okay, now I have to ask you though, is some of this because of brand perception? Now Michael Kors on Project Runway, so he's got sort of a pop culture exposure there. Does Coach maybe suffer from being a little bit of an older brand? What do you think?
Definitely. Especially for the high-end consumer in the Asian market, brand awareness is very important, and the fact that Michael Kors has that exposure on Project Runway and on Fashion Week is definitely working in his favor.
Okay, Jeroen Martis, thank you so much, Director of Consumer Research for Reuters. We're going to move it now to our hot spot where Ryan awaits. Thank you very much, Ryan, for sticking it out with us. Okay, let's talk about some stocks that are moving. Anheuser-Busch InBev, missing on 2Q, shares are down 2.5%.
Right. Of course, the big beer company, Budweiser, Stella, Beck's, and so forth. Weak quarter over there. They had somewhat lower sales, and in addition, they also had some higher costs in the form of marketing, distribution, that kind of thing. So all that's sort of coming back, and yes.
Are we not drinking enough Bud in this country? That's un-American.
I'm certainly doing my part.
That's what I was going to say. I bet you're doing your part. Okay, let's talk about Dime Equity. Applebee's, a personal favorite of mine. IHOP, up close to 12% today.
Right. Good news over there. They had strong results this past quarter. Strong sales at Applebee's in particular, which sort of overshadowed some weakness over there.
That's where I did my part.
Right. At the International House of Pancake, where I certainly tried my best. Yeah, the company's going to be cutting some jobs, about 100 jobs as a way to get to some lower costs. But yeah, today the stock is up quite nicely.
Oh, you know, we've talked recently about Vivis and Arena and the 2 new obesity drugs that they had approved.
Right.
I don't know. It might be good news for them.
Maybe a sign of demand.
Maybe. All right, let's talk about U.S. Steel. Beaten 2Q, up about 10% today.
Right, one of the top gainers on the S&P 500. They had really strong results in this past quarter, like far beyond some of the most bullish expectations. And this comes at a time when the materials sector has been materially weak, just given low prices, weak overseas demand, that kind of thing. U.S. Steel isn't completely immune from those issues, and it said for the next quarter, it does expect them to be a little bit, come into play a little bit more, and it does see that quarter being a little bit weaker.
Let's go back to the big board for the big brand that everybody likes to talk about, Apple. Now, a source has told Reuters that they floated this date of September 12th for a new product. Is it going to be the iPhone 5? Is it going to be a mini iPad, as Axel Threlfall, a correspondent in London, told us earlier in the day? What do you think?
Well, Apple is notoriously secretive when it comes to new products, especially new information about this. A lot of people are expecting a new iPhone version this year, a new iPad. Could be one of those. It could be something completely different. We don't know.
And meanwhile, Apple stock is up 2% today as we await to see what that date means. All right, Cirrus Logic, they are tied. Their shares are soaring today, up 23%.
Right.
They're tied into Apple.
They are. They make the audio chips that are used in the iPhone and the iPad and so forth, and they gave it a revenue outlook for the next quarter that is so strong, it blew away just everybody's minds. So like you said, stock's up just 20% today, and here's an indication maybe that Apple is vamping up for these new products, and so they're getting all these orders in at Cirrus to make all these new products.
All right, Ryan Vlastelica, he's our markets man here at Reuters. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Don't forget, go on Twitter. We're there at Reuters Insider, and our YouTube channel is Reuters.com/ReutersTV. I'm Lisa Bernhardt, and this is Reuters.